right. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mohan. I'm the Chief Information Officer for First Horizon Bank. We have two other partners with us. I'll let them introduce, and then we'll get rolling.
Yep, I'm Shailender Sidhu. I'm from Deloitte, lead a lot of financial services, AI, and data transformations. So happy to be on.
And unfortunately, I'm the other Jamie Cosgrove with Databricks, so apologies if you're expecting somebody else. I lead part of the financial services teams focused on our clients, enterprise financial services clients, particularly banking and insurance, that are early on in their journey with Databricks. So kind of helping customers on board with Databricks.
All right, Shailender, if we can move to the next slide. The agenda here is three parts. I'm going to set the stage, tell you more about who we are, then cover what are we trying to do today, where are we today, and then also talk about where are we headed, right? So it's a three-part agenda I'll try to get through. If we can move to the next slide, please. One more. First Horizon Bank is an $85 billion regional bank. We're headquartered in Memphis, Tennessee. Our roots go back to 1864. We have been around for more than 160 years. Our legacy has been on being resilient through all this time, being innovative, and also being committed to the clients and communities we serve. And that's how we grew. The growth, obviously, over the last 160 plus years has been organic, has been through M&A. And you can see we started as a very small bank in a very small town in Memphis in the 1800s, and today we're about 85 billion in asset size. If you look at the stack ranking of banks in asset size, I think we're somewhere in the lower 30s based on where the numbers show up. So that's a little bit of context for you on where we are. If we can move to the next slide. So for people that know banking, there are some asset numbers that are very material. $100 billion mark is a special number. When a bank crosses that in asset size, our regulatory obligations increase significantly, right? There's a lot of reporting we have to do. There are a lot of things like that. And you look under the hood for, what do I need to report on all these? Data shows up everywhere, right? So data is a big deal. And this is just one reason why we're doubling down on data. There are many more that I'm going to talk through, but regulatory obligations all hinge on how sound our data capability is, right? And we anchor everything on five principles. When we do our data journey, there are five things I zero in on. First one is scale and speed. Second one is quality. Third one is innovation, right? And of course, you have to factor in AI and other new capabilities that are available. Fourth one is intelligent automation, right? And the last one is data-driven insights. Data matters. Data is everything. So that's why we're doubling down on data. If you can move to the next slide, please. So it's not easy, right? The journey is very hard. There are a lot of things to solve for: siloed data, fragmented data, and I can go on and on and on. But what's more important is if you look forward, we as a company, we as a bank, we want to materially change the customer journey, the interaction with our customers, the experience with our customers. We want to change that. We want to become very efficient. We want to automate as much as we can, right? That's where the intelligent automation at scale comes in, right? These are some examples of where data plays a big role. If you look at the common element with all these examples I gave you, it's all about data. So getting the data foundation right was a big deal, was very important. So a year ago, the first thing I had to solve for is, what platform should I do all this on? That's where Jamie and Databricks come in for us. We partnered with them. That's the platform we picked. All the work you're going to hear is being done on Databricks. The next one is, who can I lean on, partner with to build all this and get to the end state, right? That's where Deloitte came in for us, right? We partnered with Deloitte. So it's a three-party solution here: the bank, Databricks, and Deloitte coming together to deliver on this agenda that I'm going to walk you through. With that, I'm going to invite Jamie, if you want to chime in here.
Yeah, I would just say that I think the journey that Mohan's on is very representative of what we see in our space. So my teams handle banks with assets from sort of 10 billion on up to the largest banks in the world. You see a common thread, which is sort of this data foundation, I think, that gets created. And banks aren't waiting any longer. Like, the pace of innovation is moving so fast that as we think about it, we're not just building a data toolkit anymore for the data teams. Like, what we're thinking about is, with partners like Deloitte, what business value can we deliver to the organization in short term so that we can continue to innovate? And I think I'll talk about that in a couple slides. I think it's really important.
And I think as you look at the slide, the issues that banks and other organizations in FSI face, they're across the data value chain, whether it's around architecture, around governance, around how do you manage data. So the question was, how do you realize the vision of the future? And then there were a few guiding principles that drove the decision of building the enterprise data hub for First Horizon Bank. The first was, how do you establish that authorized provisioning point or authorized data store for data? It has to be a governed platform which people can trust in terms of this is the ecosystem I go for my data needs. The second principle is governance. This has to be driven by very strong data management and data governance principles. The choice taken is towards a data product, and how do you ensure that those producer and consumer data products are managed and governed the right way? People are clear about the accountability structures. They ensure that the data completeness and quality is assured in this platform. Third is now, how do we accelerate this journey, and for that use the next-gen technologies? We'll do a demo after the presentation of how we are realizing the true platform delivery and build. And using GenAI and advanced analytics capabilities across the value chain, whether it's about data modeling, whether it is around data quality or data governance, building those business glossaries, using those advanced analytics and advanced next-gen technologies to drive this innovation further. And finally, from adoption perspective, how do you remove any barriers for the customers, internal and externals, to access their data? So creating those data marketplace. And I think in the conference it was announced Databricks Marketplace. So we're working very closely in creating that marketplace where the adoption and access to data will come in for the different consumers in the bank. But yeah, those are the kind of four guiding principles, 4 pillars, which established how this vision of the future that Mohan just shared and the bank is establishing will be realized. Okay.
I feel guilty taking credit for the work that Mohan and his team have done, kind of talking about this architecture. But at the core of what you see here and what the team at First Horizon has built is, so if you look at a number of systems of record, sort of on the left, are being brought into Databricks. So the entire EDH is built on the Lakehouse platform with Databricks. So you see these data points on the left. So Databricks uses the medallion architecture for ingestion of data, curation of data, creating sort of a single source of truth. The role that Unity Catalog plays in that middle section is to provide the metadata layer for things like security governance, which is really critical when you think about hitting the $100 billion asset and the amount of regulatory influx that creates for the organization. So Unity Catalog plays a really critical role in that. And then you sort of, and you're building sort of data products there on the top of that stack, right? So you're using Databricks to provide those data products. And then to the right, you see the Deloitte Data as a Service playing a fundamental role, which is GenAI embedded there into the tools for data mapping and things like that. And we'll talk about it a little bit when you see the demo. Mohan, I think we'll pass it back to you to kind of talk about, kind of what the organization built.
So clearly you can see building a one-stop shop is our goal. That's where we're headed. Enterprise Data Hub is the term we're using. We're bringing on sources. I want a one-stop shop for my bankers, for my analysts, for anyone in the bank. Today, in the absence of this, people have to solve this themselves. That's a waste of time. Everybody has to go source the data. Everybody has to go curate it, apply all the quality gaps, fix them. And I want that to go away completely. A one-stop shop where data is ready for you and you can start focusing on what you do very well, which is the analytics or whatever you do for the bank, right? So that's where we're headed. And EDH is going to help us. We started this journey about 8 months ago. We're all making very good progress. And it's the medallion architecture that we're implementing. So our goal is, our end state is to have a data marketplace for all my internal consumers so that they can get access to the data very easily. Next slide, please. Right, so you can see where we are. I've made the choices, platform, partners, we've started sourcing, and we're trying to run this like a data factory, right? There's 25 sources in phase one we want to bring in, so that's running very smooth in a very iterative fashion. So we'll continue to finish that journey. The next thing is, several of us touched on this concept, data marketplace. You probably heard this in several breakout sessions and whatnot. That's where our end goal is, right? Source all the data, curate it, get everything ready, get it in one place, apply all the access control, security, whatever you want, and let the bankers and other analysts inside the bank focus on going to a single marketplace, getting access to the data they need. So we've been busy getting the bronze and the silver layer stood up, to use the medallion architecture terms, and now we're actually doubling down on getting our golden layer stood up so that we can start showing value to our bankers and to the bank. All right. Jamie, Shailender, anything you want to add?
I think the next 5 minutes we'll give you a sneak peek of what this GenAI assets and solution is, and then we'll open up for Q&A.
So to introduce myself, my name is Sriram. Again, I work with Shailender and Databricks, one of the leaders in Deloitte. So surprise package, Cameo, we decided to show, make it real for you guys rather than talking through slides. Because making it real, I think you can correlate better. You can imagine how you can apply it, in your life. So can I have a show of hands? How many of you are working on GenAI in any shape or form? Okay. How many of you are working on agentic AI in any shape or form? Yeah, so that's where this is heading. So when we started this journey with First Horizon, with Mohan and team a year back, we clearly made a mandate that we're not going to do this in a traditional manual way. The only way to speed to market is how do we use GenAI end to end, starting from producer of data to consumer of data across the value chain. Let me just show it to you. That way it becomes easy for you to visualize. So what are you seeing on the screen here? When we started this journey a year back, starting from left of data preparation and analysis, going all the way to the data marketplace where a consumer is going to come and take the data, we sat together and said, let's think of use of GenAI end to end. How can we accelerate and how can we start using it, right? So unfortunately, we don't have time to click on every single tile that you see there. I'll just show you a sneak peek of a couple of such cool agents that what we're using on the ground to accelerate this whole journey. And then, if time permits or if there's other opportunities, we can do a deep dive, right? So what you see here is a agentified data value chain end-to-end to build this modern data platform on Databricks. Now, just to go and sneak peek, I'll take one example or a couple of examples. What you see is what we call as an intelligent business glossary. Under the hood, what it is using is, it uses GenAI. It reads through all the context documents of First Horizon. So think of 2 years back or 4 years back before GenAI came to this world. If you, for a highly regulated bank, if you need to generate glossary across thousands of attributes, some of you might have lived through that pain, how difficult, how painful it is to go write glossaries, generate data quality rules, write data quality rules for it, and then make it all curated. So what we have done here is use GenAI, for example. I'll just use Delta Lake as my platform here. I'm just choosing the silver layer or the confirmed layer, whichever terminology that we want to use. I've just taken one example here, let's just say the loans table, because we're talking about banking. And what do you see here on the right side? Sorry, give me a second. Let me even go directly here and show you how does it look for you. Give me 1 second. Yeah. You see all those options here. It says generate business glossary, view business glossary, discover critical data elements, edit business, critical data elements. All of them is driven by GenAI at the back end. So you as an organization, now you're not spending weeks and hours trying to generate glossary. There's a GenAI agent that is running behind. It is contextualizing all your documents and generating glossary on the fly, right? That's just one example. If I go here as another example, let's just say this, the smart map that you see here. There's a lot of pain in the organization when you're trying to map your system of record to your target data model, trying to write social target mappings and all of that stuff. What we have done with Databricks is use GenAI under the hood. Can I look at the schematics of the documents? Can I look at the schematics of my glossary that I've generated? Can I automate this mapping to some extent as much as possible? That's other thing that we have done. And I can keep going on this one. If I just take one more example here, the data quality engine that you see here, you see this rule authoring and rule execution here. If I go to this rule authoring for a second, what this one does is very similar concept. Rather than you trying to understand the banking domain, banking specifics, whether it's deposits data, loans data, and et cetera, trying to understand what kind of quality control that you need to put in place, whether it is risk and regulatory purposes, whether it is analytical purposes, you can, rather than choosing all of that stuff, you can then provide all the context documents. The engine is going to come up with data quality rules, the stewards can review, and then generate code for it automatically, because in the era of GenAI, I don't think we are no longer going to sit and write code manually end to end. Right? That era is gone. Shailender, Mohan, you want to add anything more?
Yeah, I think the change that is happening is you don't spend 2 years doing data transformations anymore, and then after 2 years realize, well, maybe something was not done right. I think what we're doing with Mohan and First Horizon Bank and partnering with Jamie and Databricks is how do you use these next-gen technologies, and what we just kind of give a brief sneak peek into, use that to remove the pain that was traditionally in data and analytics modernization programs. So that's kind of the nutshell what we're driving towards. And we feel very confident and thankful to the partnership we have with the bank and with Databricks in this journey.
Yeah, I'll just close with one thing. I know we're not doing justice to all the stuff that we have done just in the interest of time, but what we're also now working with First Horizon and team is, Mohan just mentioned that we just finished building the silver layer, and the attention is now to create this data marketplace, build this what we call as a data products, in Databricks Marketplace. And how many of you have started experimenting with Databricks Genie? Yeah, so there's already so that's exactly what we're doing. So what we're doing is bring up this data marketplace where you can come and consume your data. On top of it, we're building what we call as a talk to my data concept using Genie on top of Marketplace. Now, rather than building hundreds and hundreds of dashboards where the business team has to come through IT, put in a request, create a dashboard. So what we're doing is we're trying to take away all of that stuff. How do we give this power back to business? Create this centralized data marketplace, put Genie on top of it as talk to my data, and they can come and pretty much have their own agent running, which can create dashboards for them, create visualizations for them, and that way IT doesn't become the bottleneck, and you have given the power of data back to business. They don't have to know SQL. They don't have to work with IT engineers to build dashboards for them. It's in their hands. They have their own personal agent. Right? That's the vision we are going next. Mohan.
Okay, Mohan. Closing.
All right. That is our story, guys. That's the journey we're on. Hopefully that resonates with most of you in the room here. It's not easy, but I think we're making very good progress. So just to recap, we have the silver layer, we have the bronze layers being stood up, right? Like I said earlier, we're now doubling down on getting our golden layer stood up. You saw what he showed, and I think that's where the value for us is going to come out, right? As we make more data sets available, purpose-built data sets, we have our internal analysts, bankers, whoever, if they can come consume this data so that they can put this to good use, that's where we're going to materially alter. So think about some of the domains where I'm focused on is the customer experience, the customer journey, that's one. Fraud, bank operations, automation, that would be another area. Of course, technology productivity, that is baked in. The next area that we like to really make a material difference is the use of agentic AI agents and really trying to transform wherever we have manual processes in place. If I can change that, that'll be a big boost. So that's the journey we're on. I think we're making very good progress, and I think we have time for questions. So if there are any questions, we'll take questions now. All right. If there are no more questions, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.